Greetings and salutations, everybody. This is Luis Castillo. I'm gonna preface this with saying this is completely educational. These are just my opinions. Make sure that you consult your own realtor or your own real estate professional before proceeding with any transactions. Anyways, so today we're gonna talk about renting. There's plenty of reasons why you would want to rent. Say you want to buy a house, but you're like, market's a little bit too crazy for me right now. I really want to just find somewhere to live, and I don't want to live in an apartment. Because when you're renting, you have two options. You could either rent from like an apartment complex, or you could rent from a person. Now, granted, you might want to go through an apartment complex. One of the benefits of going through an apartment complex is typically the application fee. Well, it's going to be very similar to if you were to rent from a person. The application fee, but the security deposit is typically less with an apartment than when you're renting like a condo, townhouse, or a house from a person. Usually, yeah. For real, it's like I want to say it's like, depending on the complex, it could be like $250 for your security deposit. So it's usually a little bit easier for you to be able to rent an apartment. However, when you're renting from a person, usually you get more bang for your buck. You're probably gonna get the same dollar amount that you're paying for an apartment. You could probably get a full townhouse or a full house. It just depends on the area that you're looking at. Everyone's situation is different. However, typically when you're renting from a person, you get more bang for your buck, and you usually get a little bit more privacy than when you're renting from an apartment. Anyways, so I'm gonna tell you about how it is when you're renting from a person on the market. Usually you have an application fee. The application fee is gonna be anywhere from $45 to $65. Just depends on the company that's leasing out the property. And then you put in your application. Usually that application fee typically is non-refundable. And the reason why they charge you that is so that they can pull your credit. They're gonna want to know what your credit score is. They're also gonna want to look at your income, and then they'll also want to look at your rental history. So want to know that you have a stable income, and they want to know that that you haven't. Most importantly, that you haven't had any sort of evictions in the past, or that you don't really owe any money for real estate. Say you rented an apartment and didn't pay it back. That's not a good look. They're probably not going to want to let you live there. Just giving it 100. And based off of your credit history, once they pull your credit, that's also going to determine typically if they want to ask you for a greater amount of security deposit. So through your application fee, that's what's going to determine whether you get approved or if there's any additional stipulations that they're going to ask you. On a normal basis, though, pull your credit, you look at it, as long as your credit's good, you have a good your income looks good and your rental history looks good, then they'll say, okay, you need to put typically 1 month of a security deposit. 1 month rent is a security deposit, and then you'll also have to pay your 1 month rent your first month's rent before you move in. Typically, you pay your application fee up front. Some places will ask you for your security deposit up front as well, in order to see if you're serious. It all varies based off of the situation, but sometimes they'll ask you for security deposit, sometimes they won't, sometimes it's just but regardless, the security deposit, that one is refundable if they ask for it at the time of the application, and then you end up not going with them. The application fee is not refundable. Yeah. So once they accept you, sometimes if like credit's a little bit on the rocky side, they'll ask you for, say, double the security deposit. I've seen all sorts of different cases. So say for a round number, it's $1,800 rent. So you'll need $3,600 to get into the house. So $1,800 to pay your first month's rent, and then $1,800 for your security deposit. Say that's kind of double, right? But say your credit's a little rocky, or income is a little they feel a little bit uncomfortable. They might ask you, whoever's renting out the place or leasing out the place, they might ask you, okay, well, we want 1.5 months security deposit, or we want 2 months of security deposit. All right, so 900 plus 1,800, $2,700. $2,700 would be your security deposit. It's a little steep. However, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to get into the property. Keep in mind that could be like your savings, so that if you end up, after you end up buying property, that same property that you're renting, or you end up buying a property after you rent that house, you can still use that money towards the purchase of your home. So, look at it like a little bit of a savings account, and a little bit of investment in order for you to have, more bang for your buck and more privacy. Alrighty, so sometimes when you're renting properties, though, right now, as you're aware, the market is hot. So when you're for buying houses, right? It's like that with renting too, sadly. So sometimes there's a couple different things that you can do in order to make yourself, more desirable candidate. I've seen people offer a little bit higher for their rental price. So say someone's asking for $2,000, they'll turn around and say, okay, I'll give $2,050 a month, or I'll give $2,100 a month. Sometimes that helps with enticing the person to select you. I've seen people even write letters as to why they want to rent that home. You've heard of people do that for buying houses. People have done that for renting properties too. Just when there's so much demand, people feel the need to do things that's going to make them seem more desirable. So just something that I've heard of before. And then sometimes people will offer a larger security deposit from the beginning as well. So instead of saying, whatever the security deposit is, they'll add a little bit extra. Say they know their credit's already like kind of rocky, then they'll just offer it from the beginning. And then at times they'll also want to find out like how soon. Sometimes they'll say, how soon is it going to be? They'll ask whoever's representing them, hey, so would it be helpful for me to move in right away? Or what are the situations, what are the stipulations around that? Is there anything that, and then asking straight up, is there anything that I can do that will help my application become more favorable? And then asking questions, things of that nature. There's plenty of ways to make yourself more desirable applicant. You just have to ask those questions. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. So keep in mind, if you're doing a rental, you have to pay your application fee. It's going to be non-refundable, regardless of whether you go with the apartment or if you go with the person. Application fees can be anywhere from $45 to $65. You'll also have to pay security deposit. Sometimes you have to pay the security deposit up front with the application before you find out if you're approved or not. If you're not approved, then, obviously they'll give you the money back. They just want to make sure that you're serious. Some people. Sometimes they won't ask you for the security deposit until you're approved. Then before you move in, you also got to pay the first month's rent. So keep in mind, whatever you're looking for, you're going to need double the amount to be able to move in. And that's with the, usually when your credit is good, income is good, rental history is good. If any of those are a little bit rocky, you're going to have to pay more in security deposit. Keep that in mind. So security deposit, I've seen 1.5 months up to 2 months of security deposit. Keep in mind that could be used as a savings for the future if you're looking to buy property. Once you're in the house, you can always keep in mind, one of the things that I've also seen being done is, once you're in the house, you can reach out to the person you're now going to have direct contact with the owner once you've signed the contract and you're leasing the property. You can offer to buy the property from them. And I've seen that happen too. And that's a way to be able to come into an off-market deal. Some individuals have done it either shortly after moving in, or they'll wait till 1 year in, 2 years in, depending on the lease term. Once the contract is coming towards the end, then they offer, hey, is there any way that I could purchase the house from you? Sometimes that might be your in to getting a property that's off the market, and because you already have a rapport with the person, they might be more willing to be flexible with you on the terms, and then help you do it in a way that makes it easy for everyone, and you don't have to move your stuff twice. So there's so many reasons why renting a property could be beneficial for you. You just have to determine if, based off of your particular situation, that's the smartest move for you. All right, and like I said, this is purely educational. These are my opinions solely, and you should definitely consult with your own realtor before proceeding with any real estate transaction. Have a great day, y'all.
The Varius